So in this video, we're just going to do a build review of the Panzer 1 from Tamiya, as well as the motorbike and sidecar, because these are now all built up, and we can have a talk about them, how they went together, what some of the issues were, if any. Being Tamiya, the guess would be there isn't many, and really just talk through the process. So here we are. If you're new to the channel and you like this sort of thing, do consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and we can go from there. So what we've got here is the Russian scheme. Now there are 3 schemes which I talked about in the review, but we'll just go over again. The 3 schemes are, we've got Poland, France, Russia. These are all correct as far as the markings are concerned, but something just to bear in mind that the marking, the painting should be on this one and this one. There should be brown spots over a third of the tank. This one is overall grey. So these are a lot more colourful, but I wanted to do one in Russia, just for the ease of it, really. I've got loads of Panzer ones to do, and I am going to do some in Poland, and I may very well, in fact, I probably will get this kit again, because I really did enjoy it. I've got the TACOM kits as well to go with it, and for me, where I build, not recently it must be said, but I collect models from the Spanish Civil War. So the Panzer 1, both the A and B, featured heavily in that war. And I also like the early period and through to Barbarossa, so the Panzer 1 is a bit of a classic for that. So the decals are typical Tamiya, so I've changed it up a little bit. I'm still trying to get the perfect application. So I've gone for micro set, just to bed it down. Very hot water, very hot water, hot tap water, and then just use this. I haven't used the blue one because I was finding that was affecting the paint. And they've gone down very nicely. Although they look a bit rough there, once we've had a gloss coat over them, they should show up all right. Now there's a little bit of silvering going on under there, so what I'll do is just cut that, or maybe even go over with a riveting wheel, just to get some holes in there, and then I'll get some more of this, or even the micro set. Where are we? Even some of that. And just try and get that underneath there. And then what I'm going to do is gloss over these with quite a heavy coat, and then I'll just try and just gently sand around it, just to blend it in. Maybe another gloss coat again, just lightly, and then just sand it back. Very difficult to do over this raised detail, easy to do on this side, and then hopefully they'll start to bed in. Now you will be able to see here, if you see there, it just looked like a wavy line. That is where this melted it, and as I was sort of just rubbing it, it did move it. So you've got to watch it. I know the paint looks a little bit rough. You can ignore that. It's not that rough. It's not as rough as it looks. This is MRP, straight out of the bottle, and it's tank grey, which is that one, which makes a very dark Panzer grey, pretty close to, if not very close to, what the colour should be. Because it's a super glossy paint, it shows everything up. So you can see even here where I've got some scratches where I was trying to get rid of the seam line that was running down here, and around here as well. But all that is just showing you the rough texture, and you can see like there, that's dust deposits from where I've just gone over with a very this says 1,000, it's probably acting more like 2,000 now, and I tend to, just before I put the decals down, just make sure there's no debris underneath, so it's nice and smooth. So that's all that is. That'll all go away under a gloss coat, and then it'll also go away under a matte coat. So yeah, still trying to really get on, see how far we can go in. That's showing you the problem there now. So the whole decal should look like this area. It should look like that. So this here is showing that there's air underneath, and what we need to do is get rid of that somehow, one way or another. So the best way to do that is actually, God, this really does this. This is a new iPhone. I've been 4 years behind, so we finally got a new iPhone. Look at that. I can't see any of this in the naked eye, but certainly see it under this. I think there was a lot of fluff in the air when I was painting this. It's quite a rough old finish, that, isn't it? Blimey. Some of it is on top of it, so it will rub off, but yeah. I did have a bit of a problem down here. I mean, this is super smooth to the touch because I sanded it back, but as you can see, you know, it's certainly not a smooth paint finish. A lot of that fluff was just on top, but there's plenty of it bedded into the paint as well. So just something to, you know, if you can get your hands on a new iPhone, most phones are very good now in your pocket. Get the camera out, zoom in. You might be surprised just how rough your paintwork is. But of course, for a tank that's going to be almost completely covered in dust, it doesn't matter. But if it was going to be a civilian aircraft or a car, this would be a major problem. And it's not a good thing to have on any model. You know, the smoother you can make your paint, the better. But anyway, I digress. What's that got to do with the kit? Right, the kit. It is very nice. Now, I would sum this up. Now, I need to try the Academy kit because a lot of people mention that. Now, I would sum this up as a difficult vehicle to produce in a model that isn't complicated. And I would say that Tamiya have done a very good job of getting this right. But it is complicated. You know, this is far from a beginner kit. For a start, the tracks are a little bit tricky. I also think they need a link taken out because they seem a bit loose to me. So they're going to go on like this, and I've left these separate so that when you get them together, and you can see it's all, you know, it's all tricky. I'll get it down like that. No, they are okay. I think they're all right. They'll be okay. So I've left them off so I can paint them. And I know it's, you know, it's all very, it doesn't look very contrasting, but believe me, this is my little technique for Panzer Grey, and I like it. Come the finished model, it looks just like how they look in Russia. Now, if you were going to do this as a, like a pre-war one, have it really clean, you could do a livening up the Panzer Grey, but if you're going to put quite a lot of dust effects on this, this is a really good base for it, because having it so dark, it really lifts the contrast. So the tracks are tricky, but then Panzer 1 tracks are tricky. So there aren't many ways around it. What else is there? Everything else is on the tank. I've just put it on. So the wheels, these are 2-part. And you get a seam line along the sort of rubber here, which, as you can see, I've done quite well to get rid of. Now that creates a nice wheel. Lining all of this up was fine. What did I have? The turret was absolutely fine as well. Very nice. I do remember a little bit of an issue. Well, it wasn't an issue. It's just getting this all mated down is tricky without getting loads of glue splurging everywhere. So you just got to sort of do it. I think I glued this section, and then when that was dry, I then pulled this down and glued that, and then pulled that down and glued that. The rear section as well going in, I just had to do a little bit of work there. I had to put a tiny little run of filler down along there and along there. But I used that wipe away, and you can see there where I just couldn't get the cotton bud in. So I've got a lump of it. So as I've run the cotton bud down, it was going like that around the lump. But you can see why it's good to use that type of filler. God, this isn't good for the confidence zooming in quite this far. You know, if you showed me a picture of that, I'd say, right, I think you need to start again. But when you actually sit here and look at it and you realise how small that is, it's not such a big problem. So yeah, it's all gone on very well. So drilled out the handles for the tool clamps. And now what I'm going to do is, my little trick here is I just paint any metal black, and then paint any wood a kind of, especially on this, because this isn't Dunkelgelb, I'll actually use Dunkelgelb. If I'm making a tank that's in Dunkelgelb, I tend to use a different sort of sandy colour. So I paint all of that in, so the black for the crowbars and all of that. And then when we get into the weathering stage, I'll just use some orange oil and just drag it across, and it gives a nice streaking effect. We've got the lenses to go into the lights as well, which is a really good feature. The photo etch is absolutely fine. The bending tool is ingenious. Yeah, it goes together very well. It was probably a week's work, and I would have, as far as Tamiya goes, I would say this is one of their slightly more complicated. There's no fit issues. It's not as straightforward as some models. It's just a little bit trickier. So if you are new to it, just bear that in mind. Right, I think I'll show you how I deal with these decals. Now, as you can see there, the 9 is exactly how we want it. Do you see how there's none of that kind of clear frosting? There's a touch of it actually on that side. But as you see, it's that dark colour, that dark glossy colour. That means it's all connected. So that when you put a gloss coat over it, it will just blend across it. Whereas down here, we've only got it there. So we need to try and work on this. Now, one of the best tools I've found is a riveting wheel that I use for aircraft, and you don't press very hard, you're just running it across the film, just trying to get some holes in the film, and you put it around anywhere where you think it's struggling a little bit, and then I first off go off with micro set, and what this will show up, you should see, hopefully, what you're trying to get, it might not happen on the first go, is you're trying to get that flooding to come underneath and eliminate that, or at least show where that's been. Now you can see how it's all reconnected. So it all looks like this area. Looks the same there. So all we've got to just check is that carries on once it's dry. And that should have bled under all of those holes and got underneath the carrier film on the actual decal. So I'll just go across again and again and again, and then do that one more time. I think we've got it because I can see it coming out. This camera is unbelievable. You don't need a magnifying glass. You just sit here and work. I'm just working through the camera. I'm not even looking at the model. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, there you go. I think we're going to get away with that. So I'll let that micro set dry off, and then try and get some of the setting solution underneath it. I think we just need a little bit more work over there as well. And there and there. But of course, if you haven't got a riveting wheel, you can use the tip of a knife, and I think it's the same principle. You just want to be really light because you don't want to score it. And again, with micro set, it's so inert to paint. This is this is the MRP, no gloss coat or anything. That you don't need to worry about piling it on. It'll be fine. It's not going to damage the paint. So that's very good. And then if we have a look over here, we've just got a bit of a problem down the middle there, especially there. Some of this might not show. You could just go over with the gloss coat and it'll be fine. But as it's shown up so well on this camera, I think I'd be foolish not to come across and give it a go. So we'll just do that again. Now you can see, look, that's not having quite the same effect. So we've got to do a little bit more work there. It's starting to go away, but we need something there. We need a bit more there. So we'll just try pushing it in again. Yeah, so I need to just watch this area here. It might be fine. You really won't know until you gloss coat it. And then it really shows when you mat it down. But that is what you want your decals to look like. If they're like that, you see how they disappear? They'll then disappear when you put a gloss coat over. The carrier film we're talking about. The carrier film's gone now because I've made it wet. As it dries off, you'll see the carrier film. But that's kind of the principle. So when you make it wet like this, if you cannot see the edge, then you won't see the edge when you put the matte coat over. And as you can see, this edge here, you know, I'm going to need to just sand that back a little bit, but that's fine. I'm used to that with these Tamiya decals. But I'm quite pleased with that. And I think if we just roll across that one, just on that top corner. I did go over and improve the welds a little bit as well with a knife blade just on the edge, all the way around. And I filmed that. This is a full build video for this one. So there we go. Right, now the other thing that this kit features is a very nice figure. So I've got that here. I'm starting to just do a zenithal highlight on this. I'm going to do a little bit more work and try and pick out some more white just on these areas here. And try and pick a little bit more there, a little bit more there. And we've got the head as well. So this is the late head. We've also got the early beret. And there you can see just how detailed that is. Very nice figure. Again, might need to do a little bit of work on that seam there. It's still showing. It's running down there, so I might try and scrape that away. Yeah, the zenithal highlight sort of forces the highlights, and then I was going to try contrast paint with this. I've got the Guilliman Flesh, I think, from Citadel, and then just run that over, and you find that the zenithal highlight already does a lot of the work. It's kind of a cheap way of getting results on your models. Now the motorbike and sidecar. So we've got the figures from that, and they are here. There's a couple of them. You can see how well detailed they are. The creases, really, really nice. Again, they're just having a little bit of work from the zenithal. I've had that storm blow in recently, so I've stopped spraying at the minute. I don't really want to open the window, but we'll get back to it shortly. So they're nice. The sidecar is there, and I've got the wheels on. I would have liked to have done a darker or a higher contrast to the rubber, because I have painted the rubber as well, but I'll just have to run with what we got there. So that's the sidecar, and then this bit I just need to brush paint the engine block, which I'm going to do. I've painted the whatever these are called. I'm not an engine head, so I don't know what they're called, but they go in cylinders, I suppose. There, it's come to me. Where they go like that. I've just realised I haven't. No, they go like that. Do they? Yeah, like that. What on earth am I doing here? There, like that. So I'm just going to pick that out with silver. I think I'm going to use buffer balls. I was thinking about masking and spraying it, but you know, it's going to be just a nightmare. And then the exhausts, which I've got separate, I come around to it like that. They stick out a bit like that, running to the back. So yes, keeping it all separate, very nice. It's all coming together quite well. And we're just getting the number plate decals on, and you can see that films around the edge, so I need to just either trim that or melt it with some solution, and then I'll paint the edge white. And that's really the only decals that are on this. So we've got the number plate both sides. We've got that dial just there on the back of the light. And again, fill that in the middle and the end with white. There you can see the wheel again with the this is the 3D printed wheel from CMK. I mean, it's night and day compared to the actual kit part, which I've got rid of, but I've got them in the build. You can see how good they are. Really quite a special little addition. I was a little bit surprised that this wheel seems to be sort of further forward that way. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. It must be, because everything's where it needs to be. So I don't know. But yeah, that's all coming together nicely, and that's kind of where we are. So that's the Panzer 1. It's a highly recommended model. Now, like I said, I'd like to try the Academy kit, and I'd like to try the tack-on kit as well. So once we actually finally get through all of that, in the many months to come, we'll have a good overview of what the Panzer 1 in 1/35 scale is looking like. So as always, thanks for watching, and take care, and I'll see you in the next video.